to school on Sunday for parent-teacher conferences to learn about all the amazing things you do in school? Yesterday morning I went to ShopRite to buy them a treat. I bought little Hershey bars, chocolate bars. Those are actually my favorite. I bought chocolate bars and I put them in a glass jar in this room and I put a sign on it that said, "Please do not touch parent-teacher conference candy." And I came in this morning and the candy is missing. I have no idea what happened to it. I found this morning when I came in is my glass container was dumped over. I found all these wrappers. I found some mysterious white powder. There was a note, a footprint, all sorts of wrappers, a half-eaten piece of chocolate. I was stunned and shocked when I walked in this morning. Chocolate. With all of this evidence, how do you think we can figure out who committed this crime?
To figure out who really loves chocolate.
Well, I like chocolate. Ellie likes baking because on the note it said they wanted to bake cookies and there's white flour.
Oh.
There's a fingerprint on the nose.
Measure the size of that footprint and measure the size of their shoes and see who matches.
Now, let me ask you a question. Would that be conclusive evidence?
No.
Why not?
Because it could be a lot of people that have the same sized foot.
Like, ask like every teacher to like write something and we'll see if anybody has the same handwriting as them.
Push DNA samples to see if it's the same thing, because that's actually what police people do. Bite a piece of something else and see if they're bit in pieces the same size as that.
So you think, what does CSI stand for?
Crime scene investigation.
Crime scene investigation, right? You guys are going to be the investigators.
Way down here, and then it traveled way up here.
So there's something called capillary action. And that water, believe it or not, water molecules are actually a little bit sticky. And they stick to each other as they're drawn up. And they're pulling out the colors, and they're spreading them out.
That was left in the crime scene. It says, "Note to self, bake 3 dozen cookies."
What black marker was used? We've got 4 possible black markers. Washable, calligraphy marker to write fancy invitations, a permanent marker, and an expo marker for the boards.
Maybe more Ilana and more Jen, which you guys probably know. They were asked, do you use black markers on a regular basis? If so, which type? Raise your hand if you think it was Crayola.
No, I think it's a Sharpie.
We're going to learn a little bit about the science of bite mark analysis. Maybe how many of your molars are visible. Those are the teeth in the back.
Crime scene investigation project, and we are going to study fingerprints.
Plain world.
Plain world. Picture of the criminal's fingerprint, the person who stole the candy. Then there are 3 other pages, Debbie, Ilana, and Jen. You're going to examine this one, and you're going to figure out which one it most looks like.
Possibilities of what that white powder could possibly be. I'm going to do 2 tests, 1 on each of the
This is
powders.
the evidence bag. I'm going to put 1 spoon of it inside the beaker.
Every lab you went into tested something that was found at the crime scene. We looked at the bites of the suspects, the 3 teachers who might have committed the crime. We each took our own bites to look at our own bites on style. You should have noticed that everybody's bite is a little bit different. Just based on the bite marks, whose bite it was that was left on the chocolate bar found at the crime scene. Clap if you agree that it was Mara Debbie's bite at the crime scene. You had an opportunity to test 4 different powders. And after we tested the 4 different powders, we tested the evidence. Can somebody tell me which powder was in the evidence bag?
Baking powder.
Do you agree that it was baking powder? Tell me how they knew that it was baking powder and not any of the other powders that were in the lab. Okay, how many of you saw the vinegar bubbling in the evidence? Yes, very good. Which of our suspects has recently been using baking powder? Mara Debbie! We learned that every person in the world has unique fingerprints. Who wants to tell me whose fingerprints were lifted from the vase in the crime scene? Yeah. Mara Debbie, yes. Fingerprint lab, which was right here in this space, you had a chance to look at the bottom of your shoes and to see all the different marks that they could make and to match up footprints to shoes. Now this was our evidence, and it's kind of hard to see. It's really only what we call a partial print. But then we looked at the suspect's shoes, and can anybody tell me why they think it's one up of this one? And there are circles on the top of this one. Okay, here, do you think it's Mara Debbie's shoe? How many of you noticed that the hair found at the crime scene very closely resembles Mara Jen's hair? I did. Okay, it's true. And you know what? I can't explain that. I don't know how that happened. Sometimes when you're trying to solve a crime, some evidence points in a different direction. And the investigator needs to decide, based on all the evidence, which one is the most likely suspect. That's an excellent point. That marker was the one that was most likely used to write the note found at the scene. The washable markers. How many of you agree that it was a washable marker? Okay. Which suspect most likely wrote the note? Mara Debbie.
Though none of us saw what actually happened to the chocolate in the vase, we think, based on the evidence, that Mara Debbie might have taken it. Mara Debbie, come on up.